Information is power, and age ain't nothing but a number. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 child prodigies.
At age 2, I took him out on a course, and he played a regulation course, 9 holes, which is par 36, and he shot a 48.
For this list, we're focusing on individuals who made a significant impact on the world as children. Some are also known for their achievements as adults, but we're highlighting the accomplishments of their early years here.
Absolute genius.
Number 10. Kim Ung-young. By the time most children his age were learning to construct complete sentences, this kid was dropping in on physics classes at Hanya University. Kim Ung-young was so incredibly smart that the Guinness Book of World Records tabbed him as having the highest IQ, only to abandon the category given his increasing intelligence.
God damn it, Gump! You're a goddamn genius! That's the most outstanding answer I've ever heard. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160.
Kim had a fondness for the written word and painting as a child, but decided to accept a position with NASA, where he worked from the age of 8 to 16. Today, Kim works in business planning, but once upon a time, he was the child prodigy. Number 9. William James Sidis. Here's a child genius that was so dang smart, he might have told a few fibs just to amuse himself. Born to Jewish Ukrainian parents, William James Sidis was raised in the Big Apple, and by the age of 8, he could speak 8 languages, along with one that he invented himself.
Blé de la blé de blue blah blé. See?
In 1909, he became the youngest student ever to enroll at Harvard University at 11 years old, and inadvertently shamed faculty with his expertise in applied mathematics. Many of Sidis's claims have been challenged over the years, but no one can deny that he wrote 4 books as a kid and several more under assumed names when he was older. He was the shooting star of American academics in the early 20th century, but later settled for a life of seclusion. Number 8. Michael Kearney. Imagine a 6-month-old informing you of his ear infection. Well, this kid did such a thing during a visit to his pediatrician, and was so rambunctious that his parents called him the Tasmanian Devil. In fact, his younger sister was also a child prodigy, which might have been one of several reasons that Michael Kevin Kearney decided to dream big and graduate from the University of South Alabama at age 10. When his friends were dealing with junior high problems and bad acne, Michael was busy working on his master thesis entitled Kinetic Isotope Effects of Thymidine Phosphorylase, which would undoubtedly make the average student say,
Can you repeat the part of this stuff where you said all about the things?
Number 7. Tanishq Abraham.
By the time I was 7, middle and high school materials were boring for me. So I begged my parents again if I could take college classes.
After receiving 3 degrees from American River College, this 11-year-old said, "This isn't that big a deal for me." And why would it be?
In fact, I want to finish my PhD by the time I get my driver's license.
Tanishq Abraham was a member of Mensa International at the age of 4, and his younger sister joined him later.
I started college when I was 7.
With a Cornell-educated father and a mother who's a veterinarian, it's safe to say that the junior Abraham has a fascination for academics and is undoubtedly aware of his intellectual bravado.
Around 2.5 kind of, he knew all his numbers from 1 to like 100. He just jumped like from kindergarten level to like 3rd grade level.
While parents homeschool their kids for a variety of reasons, Tanishq was homeschooled because he was simply bored with everything else. That happens when you're a child prodigy.
Okay, so why can't you trust atoms?
Why can't you trust atoms? I don't know.
Because they make up everything.
Number 6. Akrit Jaswal.
My basic aim is to remove all those screens.
Decades from now, or perhaps in a few years, the world may know this prodigy as the child who cured cancer. After all, Akrit Jaswal performed his first surgery at 7 years of age and was making public speeches on cancer research 5 years later.
I was very interested in 9 channels.
You're kidding. I think you should be filming this.
He read Shakespeare and Grey's Anatomy as a child in India, and due to his international fame, the young doctor is all too familiar with the spotlight. and the concept of grace under pressure. Some kids need college to operate in the real world. This kid just needs a few tools.
His scientific knowledge is very, very sharp. Very impressive. Very impressive. So I'd say that he's probably ahead of us in most of his scientific knowledge and his anatomy.
Number 5. Tiger Woods.
Well, when he was about 6 months old, I had this putter cut down, and I gave it to him as a toy.
He was born Eldrick Taunt Woods, but the world knows him as Tiger. As one of the most iconic athletes of all time, Tiger Woods came to prominence as a miniature master of golf before he was 5 years old.
Wrap it right in there.
In 1978, he putted for Bob Hope and Jimmy Stewart on The Mike Douglas Show, and at the age of 7, he was arguably the most well-known golfer in Orange County, California.
My competitiveness, that sort of brings me through in the clutch.
There was a time when everybody expected Tiger Woods to dominate the competition, and that's because he'd been doing it since he was a toddler.
I'd have to say that Tiger's potential is unlimited.
Number 4. Johann Sebastian Bach. Now we go from one modern extravagant player to a categorical classic. In a time when white wigs were all the rage, there lived a German child who learned music theory from his family and local musicians.
If there had been no Bach, there probably would have been no further history of music as we know it. There would not have been Mozart as we know him. There would not have been Beethoven as we know him.
Upon earning a scholarship at the age of 14, Johann Sebastian Bach was introduced to European society and further developed the skills and work ethic that would make him perhaps the most popular composer of all time.
He was a young man, a genius, absolutely bubbling with musical ideas.
Today, one can learn piano on the internet. However, back in the 1690s, this prodigy had to figuratively feel the music and let his fingers fly.
People who were watching at the feet of the organist saying, "My God, how can somebody play so fast?"
Number 3. Ludwig van Beethoven. This Austrian found himself being marketed as a child prodigy on local posters thanks to his father. Johann van Beethoven was both a father and mentor to this little piano player, and by 13 years old, young Ludwig was publishing his own pieces. Upon traveling to Vienna with hopes of working with Mozart,
Mozart said, "Watch out for him. One day he'll give the world something to talk about."
The death of both Ludwig's mother and father took him back to Bonn, where he would establish himself as more than just a child prodigy, but as a national treasure, though he'd later go back to Vienna, of course. Number 2. Pablo Picasso.
At the age of only 12, Picasso could already draw like this.
Before this Spanish artist forever changed the conceptual guidelines of his craft, he developed his skills under the guidance of his father. In fact, when the Andalusian family moved to northwestern Spain in 1891, the senior Picasso realized that his offspring was the better artist.
Father was a very bad artist, and I would imagine a very good art teacher.
Like many child prodigies, Pablo Picasso enjoyed working by his own set of rules and strayed from formal teachings.
Picasso chose to paint like this, despite the fact that he could paint like this by the time he was 16.
He was literally in a class by himself back then, and school is still in session, figuratively speaking, through the works he produced over the course of his 91 years on Earth.
He's encapsulating a whole century of suffering. And the way that Picasso does that is by creating this massive mess of mangled, dismembered limbs, as if the bomb has actually dropped from the air and just gone off.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind, that I put down in words.
Now, these are the moves that, as an 11-year-old, made hockey scouts right across the world gasp with amazement. They just could not understand how a player as young as Wayne, at 11, could have such natural moves.
Chahe ho algebra, rational numbers, ya square roots, she has it all at the tip of her fingers.
Precocious he was, he published his first book on the conic sections in geometry at the age of 17.
Number 1. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
It's just unprecedented. This talent to come from wherever, and for it to be so perfect, and just to come out like that, and to write these works at such a young age.
What do you call a child prodigy that other child prodigies hope to learn from? Well, you can call him Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. He composed his first 3 pieces within weeks of each other around the age of 4 or 5. And he was known to convey a general understanding of music aside from his personal lessons. By 8, Mozart wrote his first symphony and began traveling Europe to perform with fellow prodigies. He was born with a gift, and his creativity surpassed the natural gifts afforded to his fellow musicians. Do you agree with our list?
Has the competition surprised you, the caliber of it?
Who's your favorite child prodigy?
Daddy! Oh, Daddy! It is you!
For more mind-blowing top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.